Hey guys, it's Ed from Optimal Health and Fitness. Today I'm going to show you my Optimal 8 mobility routine. This is like a full body mobility routine. I do some of my clients. It's like the base one that we do just to get people warmed up for exercise. Mobility is like super underrated. You see lots of people just jump on the treadmill, go for a run, go on the bike, whatever it be, but that's just getting your heart and lungs warm really. What you want to do is, yes, get your heart and lungs warm. We also want to release something called synovial fluid into your joints, make them nice and loose, give you a nice range of motion, but also activate muscles. So we're using the right muscles when we're training. We want to improve our posture so that we're not all hunched over all the time and we don't get the achy joints and stuff. And we actually want to strengthen areas and loosen up joints so we're really ready to rock with exercise. I think if most people did more mobility, they would halve the sort of niggles and injuries and everything that we get, and it is massively underrated. So this Optimal 8 routine is something that you can do in 5 minutes in the gym when you've got it nailed. I would recommend at some point you get one of these bespoke for yourself because we're all different, we all have our own little niggles and all the rest of it. But as a base beginner one, this is absolutely perfect and what you should be doing before your workouts. Let's check it out. So when we're doing the Optimal 8, what we're going to try and do is start from the lower body and move upwards basically and get all this stuff to flow a little bit. What I want you to do to start with is lie on your back for me, almost put your hands out if you can, like you've been arrested, you're going to pull at freeze. And then all we're going to do is bend our knees and rotate from one side over to the other. Now, if this is too hard and you feel like your chest is coming up, what you can do is like pin your hands down with some weights or put them out to the side, but you really want to try and keep the arms down to increase the range of motion through your hips and your chest. So once you've done, say, 10 of those each side, we're then going to straighten the legs out. In this position again, on to move number 2, we're going to give some windscreen wipers. So we're keeping the leg as low as the floor as possible, straightening the leg, pointing the toes from one side over to the next. One side over to the next. Nice low leg all the way around. Come on to our front. And we're going to come into a movement what I call groiners. I'll show you this from a couple of different angles so you understand what it is. So I'm going to come onto all fours, but then what I want to do is I don't want my feet together. I actually want to turn my feet out, okay, and have my feet almost in line with my knees. And then all we're going to do from here is sit down in towards our heels. You'll feel a really tight pulling in the inside of your hips no matter how low you go. You're going to hold that for about 5 seconds, come back out and relax. And then come back in and try and go a little bit lower for what you can. And then come back out. And then we're going to try and go a little bit lower again. And come back out. And again. And we're just going to try and do that every time. We want to like hold that movement for a little bit of time. You don't want to like bounce in and out because you're not giving yourself enough time to relax and stretch. At the same time, you don't want to hold it too long because before you exercise, you don't want your muscles to be too sleepy, you want them to be active. So by doing that, we're just increasing the mobility gently and we're increasing that range of motion. So on to our next movement, and because lots of us get like what we call kyphotic, very rounded shoulders, sitting at a desk all day, all that sort of stuff, and we want really the chest nice and high, shoulders back and down, really good shoulder health, less back pain. We're going to do what's called a sideline twist. So we're going to bend our knees. We're actually going to straighten the bottom knee and bring the one leg over the top. You can then bring both hands out inside in front of you, and then this top hand is going to come up towards your ear, scraping the floor, and then around so it's in line with the other arm. And then you're just going to come back over, a bit like a crocodile, all the way around. And back over. And the idea is that this knee stays on the floor and you're almost trying to touch the floor with this other hand, trying to open up that range of motion in your chest as much as possible. You really feel it here and through your lats when you come above the shoulder. But again, a really good upper body stretch mobility exercise. So once we've done our groiners, we're going to do an amazing move called step throughs. Now, if you can see the steps behind me, if you can't do it on your hands here like I can, you can always just put a step and put your hands in a box to make it a little bit easier for yourself. But all you're going to do is come up into like a push-up position, and we're just going to step the outside leg towards the outside hand, okay? And then we're gonna go back, and then the other side. And again, you can just sort of hold this position, jiggle your hips around a little bit, let it move. Now when you get really good at this, what we can also start doing is put in a rotation, so we start to get some real good mobility in the upper chest as well. One side, other side. And as with everything else, we're doing about 10 of these each side, and you can just hold it for a second between each one. And you can see how I'm doing these, they all kind of flow into another, so it doesn't take ages. You can actually do this in a real good sort of less than 5 minutes, definitely less than 10-minute little warm-up before every session. As you can see, I've just nicked a box for this next exercise. If you're at home, you could do this with a chair, off your sofa, anything like that. If you're in the gym, a bench, anything like that really, just want to be able to put your back foot on it. Make sure you put something under your knee that's on the floor though, just to help support the knee. But what we're going to do is come into what's called a hip flexor stretch. So again, sit at computers often, desks all day, whatever it might be, in the car, the front of our hip gets really tight, so what we're trying to do here is take a nice big stance, back leg back, and all I want you to do is raise the arms up and really feel like you take the arms behind your head and try and push the hip towards the wall in front of you. And then back down, so you're up, hold, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back down. And just try and push that hip forward a little bit more at any time. If you feel that anything in your lower back at all, it's probably because you're doing this too much and not driving from the hip and keeping the tummy in tight. So it's drive and up. And if you want to increase the stretch a little bit more, we can just actually bend over to the side with the legs up in the air, and you're going to open up that hip a little bit more. Okay, so now we're up on our feet, and what we're going to try and do is just open up the hamstrings, the back of the leg a little bit more now. Hamstrings again get really tight with people, so we're going to open up our stance. This, by the way, is my actual worst one of these. I'm trying to work on this a little bit at the moment. We're not all perfect. So what we're going to do is come down and try and bring our hands onto the floor in front of you, nice straight legs. And you're just going to hang out here for a second to try and get your palms flat if you can. And then when we have, we're just going to walk over to one leg, really stretch it, try and get down as low as we can, walk back into the middle, to the other leg, stretch it as long as we can, back into the middle. And again, you're just hanging out in these positions for sort of 2-3 seconds at a time, maybe up to 5 seconds, and just trying to let those legs relax a little bit, but mobilise. Now, if you really struggle with the range of motion to touch the floor there, what I suggest is you get something like a step or whatever it might be, a few books if you're at home, and you can always use that to bring your hands onto, and you can just relax a bit more then, because when your hands are on the floor, your body doesn't have to work stabilising so much, so often you get a better stretch. So you can just use that, and then go from one side, back into the middle, over to the other side. And then our very last movement in the optimal 8, which is like a whole body stretch to try and tie this all together. We're going to do like this just 5 times each leg. I actually use with clients in the gym, I use a sliding plate with this because it is a bit better, but I understand most people won't have that at home. I'll actually show you a way you can do it if you don't have a sliding plate, but if you've got like a kitchen floor at home or something, or in the gym, if there's a bit of like laminate or something that is a bit slippy if you haven't got a sliding plate. So all we're going to do is you're going to take like a real big lunge back. You're not actually lunging here, you're just trying to exaggerate and go as far back as you can, nice and low, and then you're going to raise the arms up and over, and then push, and then back up. So we're almost getting ourselves a little bit warm, but we're loosening the shoulders, we're loosening the hips, we're doing everything. And then back again, up nice and high, hang out for a couple of seconds, and then back, and then the other side. Now, as you can see, I've got rid of the mat, I'm on a laminate here. So what happens is my sock will actually slide on the floor, and what I can do is just let my legs slide and come into that process gradually, and you get a much deeper stretch out of it basically. So if you have the option of doing that, give it a try as well, but I warn you, it is a little bit more challenging. So anyway guys, that's the optimal 8. With every movement, we want to do it sort of 10 reps of each, and make sure that at the end range of the motion, you're really holding that stretch and you're getting the most out of it. If you've got any questions about your mobility, or you feel like you need to improve yours a bit more specific, please let me know, drop a comment below, happy to help. Every movement I do about 10 times, and make sure you're really pausing at the end range of motion for anything from 3 to 5 seconds. And if you want to, you can even do that 2 times around the whole thing. Get yourself really loose, get yourself warmed up a little bit, get the joints nice and loose. So anyway guys, that's the Optimal 8. Any questions, let me know below. Catch you soon, bye.